My sand, my helm, my ruby.
Why, what happened to them?
They were taken from me by my captors, and then taken from them. I know not where, nor what I am without them.
On returning to the dreaming, Morpheus is led to his palace by Lucian. There, he finds his chamber in ruins, with the walls falling off and the floors littered with debris. Using magic, Morpheus levitates the debris and tries to restore the palace to its original state. However, his magic is weak without his tools, and he fails to fix any damage as the floating debris falls to the ground. Realizing he can't repair his kingdom without his tools, Morpheus draws up a plan to get them back. After much consideration, the Lord of Dreams decides to ask the Fates, a magical group of 3 seemingly omniscient women, for help. However, this quickly proves to be a tricky task, as summoning the Fates also requires a great deal of power. To recover some of his magic, Morpheus visits 2 brothers in the dreaming, named Cain and Abel. The duo has a pet gargoyle filled with magic, and with their permission, Morpheus transforms the creature into magical energy and absorbs it. While Cain and Abel mourn the loss of their pet, the Lord of Dreams continues the mission to revive his kingdom. Having regained some magic, Morpheus can now summon the Fates. However, before he attempts this, he searches for gifts to offer the omniscient deities. With the dreaming in terrible condition, there's nothing of value in the kingdom. As a result, Morpheus is forced to travel into the dreams of humans in search of gifts. Accompanied by Lucian, he heads to the outskirts of his kingdom and dives into a treacherous lake. This transports him into people's dreams, where he faces many challenging obstacles. Morpheus goes head-to-head with a magical serpent and captures the creature while also retrieving a gargoyle egg. Intending to offer the serpent to the Fates, he finally summons the omniscient deities. Wasting no time, Morpheus hands them the offering in exchange for their help. The Fates devour the serpent and are pleased with the offering, allowing him to ask 3 questions. Morpheus thanks them for their generosity and requests for the location of his sand, helm, and ruby. Despite knowing their exact location, the Fates' answers are vague and not very specific. Based on their answers, Morpheus learns his sand was last purchased in London by a magic user named Joanna Constantine. His helm was traded to an unnamed demon in exchange for a protection amulet. And finally, his ruby has passed from a mother to her son. When Morpheus tries to ask for specifics, such as the demon's identity and the location of the unnamed son, the Fates refuse to answer, as he exhausted his 3 questions. Once the Fates exit the scene, Morpheus returns to Cain and Abel's residence and drops off the gargoyle egg to replace their sacrificed pet, much to the brothers' relief. Later that day, Morpheus prepares to return to the human world to find his sand in London. Moments before he leaves, a worried Lucian asks him to take a raven to aid his quest. However, Morpheus, still traumatized by Jessamy's death, refuses to get another raven and heads out without one. Meanwhile, back in the human world, the Corinthian locates Ethel several decades after she'd left Roderick's house with Morpheus's tools. The nightmare finds Ethel in a New York apartment and informs her of Morpheus's escape, warning that he'd be on the search for his tools. The Corinthian explains they're both in danger and suggests they work together to stop the King of the Dreaming. Being one of Morpheus's creations, the Corinthian explains he can't use his tools. However, he volunteers to teach her how to use them to take Morpheus down. After listening to his offer, Ethel reveals she doesn't have any of Morpheus's items. The tools, the thief confesses, she traded the helm and sand to begin a new life in America and had the ruby stolen from her by her son, John. Ethel also claims the ruby killed John, citing she's unaware of its current location. A distrustful Corinthian doesn't believe her story and pulls out a dagger as he slowly walks toward her. Before he can get to Ethel, the tools thief whips out a protection amulet she traded for Morpheus's helm and directs it at him. The amulet instantly evaporates the nightmare, sending him back to the dreaming where he belongs. Once the Corinthian is gone, Ethel heads to a high-security mental hospital where she visits a mysterious old man, later revealed to be her son, John. The caring mom asks John how his therapy is going and tries to spark a conversation with him. However, John's responses are hostile, revealing the mother and son are not on good terms. Despite his coldness, Ethel presses on and demands they discuss the ruby. As soon as she mentions this, John freezes and stares at his mother in shock. Meanwhile, in the dreaming, the Corinthian materializes in the magical world and finds Lucian staring at him. The nightmare inquires about Morpheus and learns from the royal librarian of his return to the human world. With the Lord of Dreams not around to stop him, the Corinthian moves to leave the dreaming. Seeing this, Lucian tries to stop him, explaining Morpheus would not be pleased if he returned to the human world. Right then, the nightmare declares he has no intention of serving Morpheus and would be deflecting from the dreaming for good. Lucian reprimands him for not respecting his creator, but the Corinthian counters that Morpheus doesn't care about them. Lucian then tries to convince him otherwise, but the nightmare refuses to see reason. After their exchange, the Corinthian disappears into a whirl of smoke as he returns to the human world to take Morpheus down.
You